They built the brain of modern computing and still lost the future it powered. This is the story of how Intel, the company that defined the personal computer era, missed the single largest platform shift in computing history. This is the series where we break down the deals, decisions, and power shifts that built and destroyed billion-dollar empires. For decades, Intel was not just a chip company. It was the foundation of an entire industry. Inside beige desktops and corporate offices around the world, Intel processors quietly dictated the pace of progress. Intel Inside was not just a slogan, it was a signal of power. If you controlled the processor, you controlled the platform. And if you controlled the platform, you controlled everything built on top of it. Intel understood this better than anyone. But what they didn't understand, or didn't want to accept, was that the next platform would not look like the last one. And this is where the story turns. By the early 2000s, the personal computer market was mature. Growth was steady, margins were strong, and Intel sat comfortably at the center of it all. Every improvement in performance fed a predictable cycle: faster chips, better software, more demand. It was a system that rewarded incremental progress. But outside that system, something smaller, and at first almost invisible, was beginning to form. Mobile devices. Early smartphones were not impressive. Limited battery life, small screens, weak processors. They were not seen as replacements for PCs. They were seen as accessories. And that assumption shaped Intel's thinking. Inside Intel's offices, the future was still measured in gigahertz and desktop performance. Engineers focused on power, speed, capability. The idea that computing would move into low-power, always-on devices felt like a downgrade. Intel was optimizing for the world it had already won. At the same time, a different philosophy was emerging: ARM. Instead of chasing raw performance, ARM focused on efficiency. Its chip designs consumed less power, generated less heat, and could operate inside small, battery-constrained devices. At first, this looked like a niche, but it wasn't. It was a different definition of computing, and while Intel dominated the PC, ARM quietly became the architecture of choice for mobile devices. This wasn't a direct attack on Intel's core business. Not yet. But it was the beginning of a divergence, and Intel underestimated it. Inside the company, there were discussions about mobile, there were prototypes, there were teams exploring low-power designs. But there was also a constraint that shaped every decision: margins. Intel's business model depended on high-margin chips. The company was used to selling processors at premium prices, justified by performance and dominance. Mobile devices did not support that model. Smartphone manufacturers demanded lower costs, lower power consumption, smaller footprints, and they were willing to trade raw performance for efficiency. Mobile wasn't just a new market, it was a worse business. At least, that's how Intel saw it. And then came a moment that, in hindsight, feels almost unreal. Apple. In the mid-2000s, Apple was preparing to launch a new kind of device, a phone that behaved more like a computer, a device that would redefine how people interacted with software. The iPhone. Apple approached Intel. They needed a chip that could power this device. Something efficient, reliable, and scalable. Intel had the capability to build it. But the deal did not meet their expectations. The margins were too low. Intel passed on the iPhone because it wasn't profitable enough. At the time, it seemed like a rational decision. The iPhone was unproven, the smartphone market was uncertain, and accepting lower margins could set a precedent that affected Intel's entire business. So Intel said no. Apple turned elsewhere. It eventually built its mobile strategy around ARM-based architectures, designing its own chips and controlling both hardware and software. And that decision changed everything. Because the iPhone was not just another product, it was the beginning of a new platform. As smartphones evolved, they absorbed more and more of what PCs used to do. Communication, media, productivity, entertainment, all moved into devices people carried in their pockets. The center of computing shifted. The most important computer in the world was no longer on your desk. It was in your hand, and Intel was not inside it. As Android emerged and scaled globally, ARM-based chips became the default standard for mobile devices. manufacturers adopted the architecture because it was efficient, flexible, and already aligned with the constraints of mobile hardware. Ecosystems formed around it. Developers optimized for it. Entire supply chains reorganized around it. Intel tried to respond. The company invested in mobile initiatives. It developed Atom processors aimed at smartphones and tablets. It partnered with manufacturers. It even subsidized adoption in an attempt to gain traction. But it was too late. Intel wasn't competing for the future anymore. It was trying to enter it. And entering a platform after it has already formed is one of the hardest things in technology, because platforms are not just about hardware, they are about ecosystems. By the time Intel seriously committed to mobile, ARM was not just a chip architecture. It was the foundation of an entire industry. Software, tools, developers, and manufacturers had already aligned around it. Switching was no longer a technical decision. It was an ecosystem decision. And ecosystems resist change. Intel's attempts to break into mobile struggled. Adoption was limited. Costs were high. And the company eventually pulled back from the smartphone market. The opportunity had passed. The irony is difficult to ignore. Intel understood the importance of platforms better than almost any company in history. It had built its dominance on that understanding. But when the next platform emerged, it misread the signal. Because the shift wasn't about performance. It was about constraints, battery life, heat, size, always-on connectivity. The future of computing didn't need to be more powerful. It needed to be more present. And that required a different approach. Intel's internal logic made sense in isolation. Protect margins. Focus on core strengths. Avoid diluting the brand with lower-end products. But in a moment of platform transition, those instincts can become liabilities. Because the goal is not to protect the current model. The goal is to own the next one. Intel protected the PC, ARM captured mobile. And over time, the consequences extended even further. Cloud infrastructure, edge computing, and even laptops began to explore ARM-based designs. Apple eventually transitioned its Mac lineup to its own ARM-based chips, further reducing dependence on Intel. What started as a mobile decision began to ripple outward. The architecture Intel ignored started coming back into its own territory. The company that once defined computing was now reacting to it. And the deeper lesson is not about a single missed deal. It is about how success shapes perception. Intel did not ignore mobile because it lacked vision. It ignored mobile because it measured the future using the logic of the past. High margins, high performance, established markets. But the next era did not begin at the high end. It began in devices that looked limited, constrained, even inferior. And those constraints turned out to be the point. Because the future rarely replaces the present directly. It starts somewhere smaller, cheaper, weaker, less impressive, until suddenly, it isn't. Intel saw mobile. It just didn't believe it would matter enough. And by the time it did, the platform had already been claimed. Today, billions of devices run on architectures Intel does not control. The most widely used computing platform in history evolved without the company that once defined computing itself, not because Intel couldn't build the technology, but because it chose not to. And somewhere, in another company, another boardroom, another moment is unfolding, where the next platform looks just a little too small, a little too unprofitable, a little too easy to ignore. Just like mobile once did.